So these are doors we made earlier. Remember these? Remember we had a big overlap all the way round. So they sit on the front of the shed like that. They don't go inside the frame flush. They sit on the front and overlap all round. Covers any gaps, no drafts. To my mind, it's a much better way of fitting a door on a shed than fitting it inside the frame, because they always end up swelling and jamming. You end up banging them, kicking them to get them to shut when the weather's wet. The only snag with this method, we've got to have some means of attaching the hinge. I'm going to use these fairly big, beefy hinges. I always prefer galvanised hinges rather than black ones, because black ones always end up rusting eventually. But you can see, because these aren't cranked, I've got to put some sort of packing strip in there. So I think that's going to be my first job, cut a strip to go all the way down both sides to screw this hinge to. So here's the second strip going on. I've just run a little chamfer around two ends on the outer side of these strips. I know it lines up with the groove on the cladding there. I can just pin that in place. And then same again at the bottom. I've put a little guideline to work to and just pin that one in. A couple more, keep the pins in the same place on either side. There. And now we've got something to screw the hinges to. Again, in the absence of any galvanised screws, I'm going to use these 1.5" brass ones. When you're drilling holes to the hinges, it's always better if you can use one of these self-centering drills. That way you get the hole in the middle of the hinge, it doesn't go off line when you screw the screw in. Now I'm going to have to keep these hinges quite high so the screws go into the frame. I'd prefer them a little bit further down really, but the frame's quite high, so just position that where I want it and drill in for the first screw. This hole's a little bit small, so I'm then going to open it out with a bigger drill and then put the screw in. It isn't often these days we're reduced to using a hand screwdriver, but there we go. Back to the old days. I've cut a packing strip about 12mm thick just to sit on the front there, and then I can drop the frame of the door onto that, and hopefully that lines up not far off that pretty well with the strip that I put on to support the hinges. Now I can screw that in place in the same way. I'll just put one hinge for now, top, and one in the bottom, and then if we need to adjust them, I've got a bit of something to go at. Let's get those screwed on now. I'm only going to put one screw in at this stage, because I'm pretty sure the doors are going to have to come off and be adjusted for width slightly. Let's hope for the best. Try and get this as parallel as I can. Okay, so here we go with the second door. Okay, now for the moment of truth. Packing strip out. Will they shut? No, they won't. It's exactly what we thought. They're not anywhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. It just wants about 1mm off. In fact, if I shut them together, they'd probably go. Yeah, they will. But it needs a bigger gap leaving that, because as soon as we get any damp weather, that's going to swell and bind. So I need to take a good millimetre off each door, and then it should be a perfect fit. Not quite sure what happened to measure twice, cut once, but oh well, every day's a learning day. So there we are, I've sorted it. I took both doors off, took a good millimetre off each edge, and now they're shut together fine. We've got a nice gaff about 3mm down this edge and also down the hinge edges as well. There's no way that's going to bind when the timber expands, which is bound to as soon as we get any damp weather. I am going to put a little cover strip on it though. I'm going to nail this little strip of wood onto one of the doors, and then when it shuts to, I've got a nice waterproof seal. Now I'm just making some little hardwood feet, because I know the weakest point of this whole structure is going to be where those softwood legs sit on the ground. moisture is going to go up inside the legs and rot them very, very quickly. These little feet, hopefully, will just jack it off the ground and keep them clear of the moisture. I found a little offcut of oak. I've made 4 little feet. I'm just going to put a radius on them and then screw those to the underside of the legs when we put it on site. And I know it's going to make it last a lot longer. So here we are, virtually finished. We've got the cover strip on the door. The feet are in place. I put a good strong lockable hasp on this door so I can get it really nice and secure. I put a bolt on the inside of this door and I've fitted out the inside with the adjustable shelving, so I can just alter the spacing of this to suit as I start filling it up. I can store long tools either side down here. So the only job now is to decide whether I'm going to paint it or whether I'm going to put preservative on it, and then if it ever stops raining outside, I'll get it shifted into my garden and reassembled. So I'll catch up with you later. So there we are, a week later, but it is all together again. I've put on the felt shingles, as you can see, and I've already given it 1 coat of clear finishing oil. And if the weather stays like this, fingers crossed, I'll be able to put on a couple more. I think you'll agree, it's a pretty nice shed. Till next time, bye bye for now.